kind of actually wanted to do this with my front yard gate, and I haven't found the right piece of junk.
It all started 100 years ago, fighting drought and blizzard, cattle prices too damn low. 100 years of ranching, they're still going now. They still make a living off them good old cows.
Hey, welcome to Red Dirt in My Soul. And I thought maybe this year, 2020, I'd change things up a little bit. And instead of just doing short little videos, maybe I'd try some longer ones and see if they were popular. So I'm going to go back to doing some more minute movies. But again, we're going to have these longer ones. And so today we're just going to go on a little hike. This is the one I normally take with the dogs. And whew, sun's coming out and I'm looking right at it. So anyway, we're going to start off. First of all, we're just going down here. My house is just up over the hill, and this is our outbuildings. And those of you that have followed me for a while, you know that's my studio, my art studio up there. And then, of course, you know, junk piles, which is what ranches have a lot of. But one thing I did kind of want to show off. The guy that used to live here was an amazing man. He didn't have formal education or anything, but he had a lot of practical experience, and that guy could build anything out of pieces and parts, and that's why there's so many pieces and parts left around on this place. He always just made things work, and we still find signs of him around all over the place, of course. This being one of them. This is, of course, your just typical fence brace. You know, when you have a gate, you've got to brace your fence. Otherwise it's weak and it can't hold your gate or anything. But anyway, so this is not maybe typical supplies here as this big old heavy log chain, and evidently the posts were getting a little weak, and so to brace them up, he ran a log chain from the bottom of that post, of course, clear up at an angle to this one, and then he put a come along on it. And if you guys don't know what a come along is, you need to learn, because this can save you a lot of work. We have lots of come alongs around here. And anyway, what they basically do is you got a hook on one end, and then they basically just ratchet that tight. And so that's what you can tell. This thing's tight. Like I said, maybe not your normal way to brace a post, but you know, it definitely got the work done, and it's, oh, I have no idea. You can see how rusty it is. Who knows how long it's going to be here. So anyway, there's that little piece, and then I was going to show you this bit over here too, because I kind of actually wanted to do this with my front yard gate, and I haven't found the right piece of junk. So this is an old gate, and it's way back here in the bushes. Nobody uses it anymore, but of course back in the day, you can see all the lichen that's growing on the fences and stuff. Anyway, let me get in here. So nice gate, right? Nice wooden gate. And if there wasn't branches on the ground and stuff, it is still open. Really old, reused hinges, I'm sure. But I want you to notice that, see how it closes on its own, right? Pretty cool. How do you do that with a spring? No. This is how you do it. You get a piece of wire, run it through the slats on your gate, and again, not logging chain, but you know, heavy chain. And that runs down here and back over to the next post over. But see this thing right here? This little bit? Oh my goodness. Okay, it's frozen to the ground right now. But needless to say, You tie a piece of heavy junk, I don't even know what it is, probably some engine part, onto it, onto your chain as a weight. Now that weight is always going to be pulling, right? What's it pulling on? It's always pulling on your gate, but you could push against that. Back in the day, like I said, there's a branch on there's not only Eden, but there is another branch on the other side. And so anyway, there you go. A little rancher ingenuity. And looks like can't quite lock it shut. But anyway, a people gate. And all it takes is a piece of old chain and a piece of old junk that you don't let freeze to the ground. And there you have it, automatic door closer. Told you the guy was inventive. He was good. There's another one of these up by one of our buildings too, so, you know, this wasn't the only place he used it. So, one thing we're going to do here is, you can tell if you look at the ground that a lot of our snow is melted and made for nice ice patches, which never makes me happy. And because of that, I use these things, my walking sticks. I grew up going to Girl Scout camp and I had walking sticks, I think, at every camp. So it's not only because I'm old, it just helps you keep your balance. I used to backpack back in the day, and you put a lot of weight on your back and your balance is messed up. So anyway, I bought these and I take them out on my walks, and they have a tendency then to let me stride along instead of mincing little steps like I'm 100 years old. And so when you slip on the ice, just like I did, you know, you have something to balance with, and it makes a really big difference. Anyway, so this is what we're walking along right here. Is the edge of the field, and it's alfalfa field. And you can tell that this field we irrigate in the summertime with these pipes. Now in the summertime, all these pipes would be linked together. As you can see, we've broken them apart for the winter. And then we switched from plastic gated pipe right there to metal. The metal, of course, are the older ones. And problem with metal is, you know, get your tractor a little too close to them, and then you have crooked metal. So anyway, and then of course they come out. Oh, I should have showed you that as we were up there. Right where we'd stopped by the gate, there's an irrigation ditch, and so it pops up out of that irrigation ditch, and they're larger size. And then of course, like any pipeline, as you go along, to keep your pressure up and stuff, then you go down to narrower sizes. That's not good. There's that. Plastic has its disadvantages too, you know. It weathers, UV light gets to it. Anyway, so we haven't done too much to this field. It has a perfectly good slant to the field. I guess I could stop and let you see some of it. Let's zoom in here a little bit. It's not a real big field by any means. The creek runs along right under those box elder trees over there and circles around the edge. Those cows you can see right up on the hill. Are those cows? Oh, I thought they were cows laying down. Guess they're not. I don't have my glasses on. Anyway, that's our neighbor's place. So we just owned a little bit of acreage right down here on this place. And this is the part that we bought. Oh heavens, it's actually been like 15 years ago when we actually bought it. But anyway, so that's this one field. And right over here is a ditch that where there's a little creek. Well, I can't call it a creek. There's a spring that runs down in the bottom down here and goes out across. And sometimes when we're here and going along, I have to call the dogs back because there will be a interesting smell come out of the bottom there, so we have to watch out. Hey, that's enough. And so yeah, you know, skunks, coons, all that kind of good stuff. They like these little draws where they can sneak up, not be out in the open. So we're coming up here on a little trail. I like to cut off to the right a lot of times and go down and go down below the red cliffs. You guys have seen plenty of pictures of the red cliffs. We'll go there another day. Right now we're just going to stick around this field and let the dogs blow off some steam stuff. But anyway, so as you can see, there's a nice little trail that goes down and across there. And of course, let me scoot up here a bit and go over that direction. We'll zoom in a smidge. There's that little conglomeration there you see is the pump for our pivot. The pivot field's right up above there. That one, we'll do that a different day. But I like to go down here right below those cliffs. The creek goes and then takes a left and goes along those red, well, I mean, I can't really call them cliffs, but I guess, can't think of any other terms. So anyway, like I said, we'll go do that some other time. Right here, we'll just go, the little spring goes down and it comes through the willows here. I was going to show you, there's some red willows and stuff growing up there. We have got all different kinds of willows growing around. Anyway, so it turns and goes down and joins up with the creek right there. Then this field, the flat snow-covered bit, that's another field of ours right there. It's bigger, of course, than this one. Only access, though, is way around. You have to go on the other side of this, cross the creek where it's really shallow, go along under the bank there, and then down into this field. There used to be a bridge that you could cross, but it washed away one of the first few years we owned this place. Now, I can see that, and I see what those are for sure. Those are some of our bulls down there, and well, probably all of our bulls down there except for the ones that are in the corral. So anyway, we're feeding them right now. Even though we didn't till recently, there's been plenty of grass they could go. They were in a different pasture until a couple weeks ago, and then we brought them up here and started feeding them a little extra. And so they're living the life of Riley. And like I said, we'll go down there. They're actually in another field. So we have the field I'm going around today. We have this one across the creek. We have the pivot field. And then we have the field, the lower field that they're on. And so that we have just 4 fields on this place. And of course raising a alfalfa grass mix. Though sometimes you've seen different stuff that we plant on that pivot field. Depends on the year, how we want to rotate. So let's go up here a little bit. Keep going. I apologize if the snow is making too much of a crunchy sound. It's a gorgeous day. Don't really honestly need this heavy of a coat, but okay, so here's the creek. This is where I go fishing, maybe on a rare occasion. I don't do a lot of fishing anymore. I grew up hunting and fishing, but my husband isn't a big fish eater. He'll eat some every once in a while. So anyway, it's a nice little trout stream. And you can see it's just out my back door. I always dreamed this was the kind of place I wanted because I thought I would go fishing all the time. And, you know, I'm just not the kind to waste food. So I might take a grandson down here and let him cast and, you know, get your hook caught. Because it's shallow. And then I get to go down there and, you know, ruin your camera by getting into the creek. That's what I did last fall. But anyway. So, yeah, I don't do any fishing to speak of, which is kind of sad. But then, if you'll remember, one of my projects that we did here was my creek crossing, because when I wanted to take the dogs and go somewhere, I could go a couple places, but I still had to cross the creek, and then, you know, you don't want to hike in wet boots, and it's hard on boots and everything. So I got this little bitty thing, some tin came on that, and it didn't quite stretch across the creek, but I have a rope, and I can I made steps, though I'm not really sure I'm gonna do it right now. My rope's buried under the snow, and there are steps that will go down, and I can go across, climb up the rocks, climb over there, and then take the dogs for a bigger walk. But today's just kind of showing you around the place. Anyway, that was kind of a big experiment for me. Just pulled it kind of down there and got a rope on it and took a 4-wheeler across the other side and pulled it into place, and then set it up on some rocks. I think that ends getting down a little lower than it was, and I'll pull it out before the high water comes, and so it doesn't wash away. But anyway, let's keep going. I see we've taken up quite a bit of time already, but I'm hoping you like this. It's different than the minute or two that I show you most of the time. And I don't know, I left the house a little after 2, I think, and I'm just barely catching it before the sun goes down behind the hill. And gets too dark for the camera to focus. Oh, some little birds down there. We'll have to see how jerky this is. If I posted it or not. Anyway, so right up here, you can see right across where that snow comes out, right in there. And that's where we'll put our dam that'll put water in a ditch to lower this middle field here. In Wyoming, you have to irrigate. It's all about the water. We don't get enough rainfall. We get maybe 14 inches a year, and that's not enough to grow things the way we want them to grow. So we irrigate, and we have one pivot, but that's relatively new. And most of what we do is flood irrigation. So we have ditches and we have little plastic dams, and that's kind of the way it's done around here. So the guys have to irrigate twice a day, if not more, depending on their sets, how long they last, how long it takes to cover the ground that they need to. Those of you that have watched, this is often where I come down here and get rocks to paint on. Booger has come along. And I'll get you up here just a little bit and then give you a little time to enjoy the sound of the creek. And then I'll probably just call it good. Let's go over here. Thanks for coming.